Hello and welcome. This is Thursday, February 27th. I'm Jeff Nodell with SanJuans.Today, and today we're speaking with Ray Jackson, Mayor of Friday Harbor, Washington. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm surviving. It's
All right.
good times, but we're doing what we need to do.
So this is the fourth time SanJuans.Today is reporting on the contract negotiations between the town of Friday Harbor and its employees. The town's employees are represented by Local 1909 of the Guild of the Pacific Northwest, a union based in Bellingham. Negotiations, which are typically done in private, spilled into the public when a lawyer with the Guild made a 3-minute speech during the public comment section of a Town of Friday Harbor council meeting on January 16. Attorney Nick Power said, quote, "It is not a good situation for public employees to be the working poor in a community like this." And a second speaker, Kelly Martinez, referred to what appeared to be specifics of the negotiations. SanJuans.Today invited a leader of Local 1909 for a video interview, but that leader canceled the interview shortly before it was scheduled to happen. It was SanJuans.Today's idea to check and see if Friday Harbor unionized employees are indeed nearing the working poor. Our deeply researched article published February 5th did not find that the town employees are on the cusp of any common definition of working poor. In fact, union represented town workers' total compensation with benefits in 2024 ranged from a high of $143,000 with $15,000 in overtime to a low of $79,000 with $200 in overtime. 2 weeks ago, Local 1909 accused the town of Friday Harbor of unfair labor practices and filed to move negotiations into mediation. Town Administrator Denise Kulseth stated, "This is nothing," quote, "this is nothing but a publicity stunt for the union, and you can tell by the distribution list for their press release that it's meant to garner attention in Tacoma, Seattle, and Bellingham, where they hope to get a foothold. This is nothing but marketing, plain and simple." So with that background, let's talk with Mayor Ray Jackson. Where do you want to start, Mayor?
First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to come out and reach and communicate with the citizens of the town of Friday Harbor. They are, of course, the ones that are going to be the most affected by whatever outcome comes from us in these union negotiations that we're having. I also want to start off by saying that any opinions that I have is that of me as the mayor. The town council, although they agree wholeheartedly that we are doing everything that we can to help and assist and provide as much of a standard of living for our workforce as we possibly can. I will not speak on their behalf. If you'd like to interview them individually, by all means do so. I'm pretty sure they have their opinions on how this situation is. But as we move forward with this is coming from the mayor. I felt that it was necessary that we put a face to it. And as the mayor, it is my responsibility as a representative of the town to at least convey our position, not just by email or through a letter, but I want to be able to look at people and let them know exactly where we're coming from and what we're doing as a town, and to refute a lot of the different things that were put in the last press release that the Guild sent to the newspaper. And that's what I'm here today to do. I want to touch on each one of those, address them, answer questions that people may have, even though they're not asking any questions. But hopefully in my response, it will answer the questions that they need to have answered. So with that being said, that's where we are.
Okay. So do you want to go down a list? Or I guess let's get a few things out on the table, since the last time we reported on this was almost 2 weeks ago yesterday. Did the union indeed file for mediation?
As it stands right now, they have filed a couple of different suits and allegations, which you've already mentioned and touched on, in regards to the town administrator practicing in bad faith union negotiations. That has now been sent to Perks, who is our legal for all government entities. They are in charge now of overseeing this case to see whether or not that will be moved forward, if there's any validity to any of the allegations that were made towards the town and towards Administrator Kosef. Once that happens, that will determine moving forward what we're going to do. So right now it's in the hands of Perks. Let them handle that, and then we'll get the move forward from there.
When would this new contract begin? When does the old one expire?
The old one expires, I believe, at the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. And that's why it's imperative that we try to get something worked out right now. If we don't do anything, then the contract will remain the way that it is until we get some kind of resolution, whether it be through mutual negotiation or done through mediation. But there is a contract in place.
Okay, so do you want to get into bullet points, or how do you want to address this?
Well, my main issues that I have, as most people know, if you haven't already, you should have received our press release that came in, and as well as the pay tables and salaries, not only of the workers, the union workers, but all the workers, including myself, as well as the non-unionized employees. It was there for you to see, to make a comparison. I want to say that we have done, as a town administration, everything in our power to ensure that we get the best possible solutions financially for our workforce. And as much as we would like to give them what they want, we have to think bigger than just the union individuals that are there. Our town is small. Our revenue stream is not as vast as, a metropolitan place where you can get sources of income and revenue from different areas. A lot of our funding is done in earmarked. Example, if the water needs to be upgraded or replaced, or the system needs to be overhauled, we cannot get money or take money from any other source that's inside of our coffers, except from the ratepayers, or through grants and loans that come through the state or feds. Without those, if we don't have that revenue, then there's not really much that we can do. We can't outsource it from any place else. A town normally of this size usually leases out the municipalities for this exact reason. Because of the size, it's very costly to maintain the system. But when you are in a town that's surrounded by other neighboring towns, they usually lease it out to a bigger facility. And because of the population base being spread out as a whole, you don't feel the effects or the high increases in prices as you would here. It's unfortunate, but even as the mayor, I have to endure that as well. All people in the town do. So whatever happens affects me as well. And I realize now that it's going to be something that we cannot avoid. For a while now, we have not did increases as far as I believe the water. Back in 2018, I believe that was the time, 2018, around that area. Because of the hardships and the recessions that was going on, the council voted to go ahead and lax rate increases on water and sewer to help alleviate the strain of the town citizens, because we knew and we felt it as well. Unfortunately, we never lifted it until recently. And by the time that we did that, it took quite a bit of money in order for us to get back on track on where we needed to be. So people started to feel the pinch of that. But it was something that had to be done in order for us to get back solvent and in a position where we can actually maintain our facility and keep the system running. So,
excuse me, Mayor. So when you talk about utilities and utility costs, you are talking about the ability for the citizens to pay more and to pay more for anything else, right? Because whatever money the utilities make has nothing whatsoever to do with the pay of the town employees. Is that true?
No, that's not completely.
Okay.
If you are working for the water department, your revenue comes from that.
Okay.
Your paycheck is based upon what the ratepayers are paying, and that's where you get paid from.
Okay.
If you're in the streets department, then obviously you get it through the sales tax and what we have for roads and whatever that nature. You're in that particular bracket. If you're in the wastewater treatment plant, same thing applies. Revenue from that pays your paycheck. Okay.
Now, is it not also true that some of the highest paid employees in the town already work for the water department and the
yes,
utilities?
it is. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
It is. That is a true statement. But I will say this: they play an intricate role in keeping our facility moving,
sure.
and I have the utmost confidence in the individuals we have in place. They are fantastic when it comes to taking care and maintaining our services. We need those type of people with the commitment, and of course, if you're qualified in that particular field, because it is a field that requires expertise, you should be paid according to how that goes. And we have strived to do exactly that within our means. And we've had people that have been in our employ for over 30 years who've recently retired. Many of them stay on for 15, 20 years. So for a situation to be so bad, why would a person stay on so long? I mean, this is the longevity thing we're talking about, right? It's a commitment and the understanding about community and township and understanding we all have a role to play. And, to be honest with you, a lot of times what I'm seeing is folks seem to think that we're like Microsoft or Amazon, Walmart, these places that generate vast amounts of revenue, but they don't really tell you where the money's going. The town of Friday Harbor has always been transparent in what they have and what they bring in and where the money is going. And it's privy to the public. You can actually go and take a look at it and find out. And I challenge anyone to take a look at it and find out where they can come up with the extra money to move this forward, or even to show that the town is holding money that isn't obligated to be, earmarked for something else. Now, one of the bullet points that we put out on that topic has to deal with workers who we have set aside for the future that we need to hire. One of the things that was mentioned was we had a turnover of about 30 some odd individuals. This is a perfect example of what we're talking about. If you're going to have that kind of movement, you need to have, as a town, resources to take care and cover that. It does me no good to have a spot open, but not the revenue to pay them. So we have to be forward-minded when we think about this. It's more than just a handful of people, but what's going to be 2 years, 3 years down the road? And that's being prudent. That's being, I believe what the people voted me as the mayor to be, as a good overseer of the finances and the revenue streams that come through, and being a good steward of our money. And what I've done as far as hiring a person who is 100% competent, eyes on, focused, and that's our town administrator. She cares, and she's very prudent, and she knows what she's doing. And I give her kudos because she works long hours to try to do the things that we're talking about right now to keep this town moving and running. People may not be happy with some of the things that happen with it, but all they have to do is ask her, and she'll give them the rationale for it. They may not like it, but at least you have that ability. Her door is always open.
Were you surprised that this negotiation process has gone as sour as it has, or did you anticipate this?
I kind of figured that it would probably change. And the reason why I thought it would, when I came in 2021, one of the things that I did was, and it was for me as the mayor, I thought that it was important that you reach out and you talk to your employees, at least on a yearly basis, if not on a semi-yearly basis, on their status to find out what it is that's going on. Are they happy with their jobs? Are there things that they're looking for, things that we can do to make things better? When we first came in, this administration, there was a lot of tension between the administration and the employees in the union. But however they did whatever they were doing back then, I can't speak on behalf of our prior town administrator, and I won't go to that direction. I'll just say that there was a lot of tension. The relationship and communication between the two channels were not there. And it showed. And they conveyed that to us when we sat down at the meetings and we talked to them about it. So myself, the town administrator, as well as the rest of the staff, made a commitment that we will always have that open door policy, and that they could come in and they can discuss any issues that they have without fear of reprisal of fear of being, ostracized or their job being at stake or whatever. That worked for a very long time. For the past 3 years, we've never had a problem with individuals, employees coming in and discussing issues or problems or concerns if they chose to do so. The issues that we have now, where things have gone sour, is we've conveyed as much as we possibly can financially what we can do as a town in order to maintain a good workforce that's viable. We understand, because we live in town too, at least I do, that it is very costly and very expensive to live here. But being a person that's been in government for pretty much half of my life, militarily speaking, government, there are certain things I already knew going into this. Being a government person, you're not going to get rich. And a lot of times you're not going to be able to meet up with the COLA. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact you don't. I don't know of any occupation where you actually have that, where, the pay is equal to the COLA, because the cost of living is constantly changing and you have to navigate around that. Here in the town, it's really bad because individuals here have a limited source of revenue streams that they can go to, like jobs and services and things of that nature. So I understand the problems that they're facing and what they're going through. We empathize with them 100%. I'm suffering just like they are. I'm the mayor and I have 3 jobs, okay? But I understand. I understand what I have to do in order to live in a place as wonderful and as beautiful as this, a place that's sought by other people who only dream to come and do the things that we can just walk out our door and actually experience. Those things you can't put a price tag on. And those are the things that build pride, community, unity. And as a family, we should be able to agree to disagree on certain issues. But we do understand that we are not holding back any money. We are not, selling anything that is unnecessary. And we've done everything that we possibly can to try to make it amenable as possible to take care of our workforce, because they are valuable, they are important, and we want them to be happy. Because if they're not happy, then obviously you don't get the best performance that you need. And I have some pretty seriously critically areas like water and sewer that need people, individuals who are focused and committed on doing the best job possible. And I believe to this day that that's not an issue. Those individuals, regardless of what's happening now, are doing their job and they're doing yeoman's work on it, and fantastically. So I'm not saying anything as far as them, doing something that will cause us to have problems down the road. I just don't see that.
Now, we reported 2 weeks ago, 13 days ago, and correct me if this is if there were any errors here, if this isn't true anymore. The town offered employees a yearly, a 5.72% wage increase for the next 3 years. Is that 5.72 spread over 3 years?
Yes. So
in the form of a 3.72% wage increase dependent on satisfactory job performance, plus a 2% COLA, cost of living adjustment. Is that all accurate?
yes, and that's what we put out.
All right. And the town will continue to pay 100% of every employee's healthcare premiums, even though premiums increased 7.3% over the last year and will likely increase in the future. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. I must confess, when I was doing the research for our second article, where we went into what the town has been paying employees, I was fairly impressed with the town's approach toward healthcare. It seems pretty good. What some people would call close to a full ride. So that cannot, in this day and age, be overlooked as a substantial. I also noticed something when I looked at that roster, that virtually every employee is taking that insurance, which is a sign that usually, and I'm not taking sides on this, but I also think it's important in a situation like this where there's disagreement to try to get to some facts. And one of the facts is that almost, I think, all but one employee is using the health insurance. And that's a sign of good insurance, because, many people have a spouse that you could be on their program. But when you see full participation like that, in many cases, it means that that's the best available to that family. So there's that. But so anyway, that's the town's best offer. And how long? When did all this start? When did the negotiations actually start?
I believe, and I don't have a definitive time on that, but I'm pretty sure it started last year, towards the late part of the year.
Yeah,
It could have been a little
December,
bit in a row.
November.
Yeah, December, November, somewhere around that time. I'm not really sure the exact timing frame. And of course, the town administrator would have that information, which I would also say too, if you would want to reach out and talk to her and have an interview with her as well, she'll be a wealth of knowledge to answer a lot of those technical questions that are there. Also, I want to put out that despite the fact that I don't have the actual numbers, all the negotiations and all the deliberations, everything that goes on, I hear about it. I and Administrator Kochef is in touch. We talk frequently. We have meetings and discuss the things that are going on, where we stand, what our options are. So I'm not running around blind to this, but I do understand that our town administrator is the one that spearheads our union negotiations. But even though not in the room, I get the information after it's done. And together we formulate on a course of action, and then of course submit it to the council so that they can give their side of it, their take on it, their perspective. So collaboratively we can move together on something unified. That's very important for us. And I would say this too, that goes the same way as far as how we care about our workers, our commitment. Myself, town administrator, as well as the town council, all are in agreement that they are valuable, they are needed, and we are looking out for their best interests as much as we can. There's no disagreements on those. How we go about getting to that resolution, I'm not one to speak badly about unions. I think unions are useful in certain instances, but in this case, there's been a lot of misrepresentation in looking at this press release. It tells me that there's been a lot of miscommunication that's been disseminated down to the workforce there, the union, the employees of the union are not getting the full scope of what we're doing, and they're not understanding where we're coming from. In a way, I understand, because that's usually the playbook that most unions do. They shoot high and then kind of go down. But the realization is we're a town of 2,700 people. We have 900 plus households with some businesses and others that are responsible solely for taking care of the things of the town, the water, the sewer, and everything else. I mean, paying wise. They are also employed into the town and around in the county. And their money and their revenue goes back into the town as well to make it work. So we're all in this boat together. The question is, what parts can we do? We're all suffering. We're all making sacrifices. Government is never meant, and I'll reiterate this again, it never was there to make a person rich. I was talking to a person the other day and giving her my take on it. The government job was never there to make you rich. But one thing that I found government did until recently, it offers stability, which is just as important in troubling times, especially now. It took an act of Congress literally to get you out of the government work. To be a government employee, you either had to mess up or, most people stay there and retire. It's a great gig, great medical, great benefits. You can raise a family. You can take care of the things that normally you couldn't do. Town government is the same. It offers stability. If people are leaving, they're either leaving because they've been here for a very long time, it's time to retire, or some issue has happened that caused them to leave, or a performance issue, which we had no choice but to terminate them. Right. All those things are part of running government, but always understanding that you can only work within your means. We have been working within our means since I've been here at this administration. But the number one priority that we had since I touched down here, the first things we did was take a look at the pay that was going on with our workers. And we made changes, and you can look at it and you can see from 2021 up until the present time, they have received increases in their pay. If you look at what they made in 2020 versus what they got in 2021, you would see that they all received pay increases. Why? That wasn't something that, somebody said we had to do. That was something that myself and Administrator Kosef sat down and said, and she crunched these numbers and she said, this ain't right. We can do better. And because we just came in there, we didn't have any say about the prior administration's workings. But in our administration, we wanted to set that example. And we tried and we strived every year to make sure that they receive what they're supposed to get. And I think we did a good job. If you look at the numbers, you can see that they have been receiving increases. And you're right about the medical. That is a big issue. Medical goes up every year, whether you like it or not, just for everyone. And the fact that most employees don't even offer 100%, usually it's 80-20. When I was going in, it was 80-20. Some of them are 75-25, but it's always a portion paid by the employee, not here. That's something that you're right, cannot be overlooked, because that's like having extra money in your pocket. And when we talk about things like COLA and pay increases and increases, everything increases on the COLA. If you do that, my question is, where's the money going to come from? And if you're unwilling to, after you see that the way that you have your medical set up, it's not the standard in the regular scheme of things, and you're unwilling to make the changes so that you can get more money by reducing your health coverage so you can pay a portion, there's no logic in that. And
so I'd love to ask the union. We invited the union, as I said in the beginning of the show, and they backed out. So since I can't ask the union, I'll ask you, what was their ask? What is their proposed increase on the union side?
Well, oddly enough, in the beginning, they came in and they asked for a 20% COLA. 20% COLA. That's impossible. Considering that the county, I think they had a 6% COLA or 4% or 2%. This is something that, Denise can really get those numbers down right. But in comparison, you can see that was just a ludicrous number. It's like they came in with this high number. Either they came in thinking that they were going to get it, or they came in because they didn't know where they were. 20%, we've never had that. 2% increases, 4% increases, that's fine. But to go in for 20, that was insane. And they kind of knew that too. That's why we're fighting right now for what we're trying to get, this 4 or 5% COLA and pay increases, things of that nature, because they came in with an ask that was kind of like something you would get if you were in Seattle or Portland or somewhere,
So is it still at 20? Is that still where it's left? 20% on their side and 5.72 on your side?
Oh, no. They had to come down on their 20% because it's not realistic.
Where do they come down to?
I believe, because I think it might end up changing out. I think it came down to 4 or 5%. I think what they wanted was more. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, so I don't want to be quoted on them because they change. Like look at like liquid, but we did other concessions like paid time off, vacation days or extra holidays. We kind of fill those in to compensate for not being able to pay the kind of money that they were talking about. So we were willing to work in that particular case, but they refused to let go of things like paying on their medical and helping out as far as the COLA and doing the things that need to be done so we can negotiate and have something that's, mutually beneficial, not only just to those individuals, but to the town as well. To say, Jeff, that we could have paid them money we could, but at what cost?
All right. Well, were there any other points that you wanted to make or any other corrections or anything else that you want to share with the public about the current situation?
I think the biggest thing that I wanted to put out, because people came up to me on the streets and asked me questions about what's going on. I drive down around the county area and I see signs that's on people's cars. I'm driving down the Public Works area and there's signs that's there. You have a right to protest. I just want the truth to be out. And in today's society, everybody hides behind emails and texts and things of that nature. I'm old school. I've never been that way. I would rather come up to you, look you in the eye, and tell you exactly where I'm coming from. I figure if I do that, then you'll understand and believe me. My dad always told me, you can look a person straight in the eye and talk to them and give them what they have. Either they can take it or they don't. But understand this, and this is directed solely to the constituents of the town of Friday Harbor. You elected me as your mayor to be the caretaker of the town, to be the voice of the town, to represent not only just the employees, but also all the citizens that are in there, because we're all in this together. I realize, and I've always known, that we cannot solve all of our problems and we cannot mutually agree on every situation. But in any time that you're in a position where you're in charge of a people or, an area, you have to look at a scope that's larger than just an individual. And this is no different. But I need for you as town residents to take the time to look at the information that was given to you. It's on our website. I think we stuck it inside of your power bill or your water bill, utility bill, and be realistic about it. It's one thing to ask about having things, but remember, whatever we do moving forward, it's going to affect you. And you have to ask yourself that question. Do we do the things that the union is requesting that we do? And if we do that, are you willing to deal with what's coming afterwards? Especially in the times that we have right now, because we are in very volatile times as far as getting grants and funding from the federal government. They're in an upheaval right now. And our town relies a lot on grants and loans. And I will say this, Denise Kusef, our town administrator, is fantastic in getting grants. She's a tiger when it comes to that. If there's money to be found, she's going to find it. We almost have all of our money to get our wastewater treatment plant taken care of, or our fourth filter. I think we just got enough money to get that started, which is going to help our water system out. But it took for her to go and do her due diligence and dig along, as well as other individuals in the administration, getting that beaten down and trying to get that money. We're fighting, always constantly competing with other small towns and areas that want that same nugget. And the fact that we have someone of that caliber that's on our side is a great thing. Always remember that. We are a community. We are a family. I've never lost that. I'm the same person that I was when I got here in 2021 that you met prior to that time. You can always come and talk to me, stop me on the street, ask me a question. If I have the answer, I'll give it to you. If not, I'll direct it to the place that you need to get it. You are always welcome to come inside of the town. You can also come to our town council meetings and voice your concerns. You get 3 minutes to stand up there and say what you need to say. It's kind of shocking in the 3 years that I've been here, I very rarely see a crowd of people sitting there. So for the amount of things that are going on in the town where people are disgusted, especially the ones that are actually doing all the talking on the social media, I challenge you to come to the council meetings, get up there on the podium and give us your 3 minute spiel on why you feel the world is the way that it is. And we can't refute what you say during those 3 minutes. So you can say what you need to say, but it'll let us know that your voice is being heard. But if you work from the sidelines instead of being on the front lines, hardly nothing gets done there. And as mayor, I can't afford to do that. And I have to think bigger than just a small group of individuals, because we're all in this together. Either we sink together or we swim together. I enjoy swimming and I love where we are.
So you heard it, folks. There is Mayor Ray Jackson, mayor of Friday Harbor, inviting packed house in the town council meetings, inviting public comments and participation. So, Mayor, thank you very much for answering our questions and giving us the town side of this. Recapping, this situation is at least temporarily in the hands of a third party. We'll see what comes of that. We've learned a little bit about how far the sides were apart were, at least in the beginning of this. Don't know how close they might be now. But thank you for making yourself available. And we appreciate also the transparency and the help that we've got and tried to understand the situation from Administrator Kulseth, who has been very open in helping us understand at least the town side. I will say again, Local 1909 is welcome to join me in a conversation. video. Apparently that was the problem. They did not want to be on video. I don't understand that, but that's their prerogative. The door is still open, and that's the way we do things in San Juan's today. So if you want to talk and look into the camera and explain your side of the story, we would be happy to do that.
And I offer the same thing, Jeff, for him
Yeah.
as well. I would love to have this one-on-one with the public there, because the public is the ones that's responsible for this. You're going to pay for whatever we end up doing. You're the ones. They work for you. These individuals work for you, just like I do. And thanks to what happened at that meeting on January the 2nd, we are now in a position where we can do what we couldn't do before, and that's to openly, publicly discuss the things that go on as far as negotiations.
Yes, and that's worth noting. We're in an odd situation here now where kind of a firewall has been knocked down, and this is all happening in public. This doesn't usually happen this way, but it's happening now.
It doesn't.
So we would certainly invite the other side to engage now, not just in the letters and all that, but engage with us in the public. So thanks again, Mayor. How's the barbecue business going?
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything about that because that's a whole nother different thing. But it's doing good. It's jumping off like gangbang and like game busters. And like anything else, it takes a community to make it work. And although it's getting where it's going, I'm pretty sure it'll pick up by the spring and the summer. It'll be something that, as long as I provide a good product, it's going to be great. But like I said, this has nothing to do with that.
Well,
This right now, everything has to do. This focus right now is making sure that the people in the town of Friday Harbor understand that we're on your side, and we're working as hard as we can to try to get something that's going to work for us so we can survive. Because if not, we're going to be like some of these other towns that we see over there across on the mainland. Some of them which file for bankruptcy. Some of them are unable to get funding. Do your research and you can find out about it. I refuse to hold our town hostage for something that we can easily, if we just sat down and talked about it, could get resolved. We're a family, we're a community, and even family members have disagreements. All right, we do, but when push comes to shove, we band together and we do what needs to be done to get the job done. And as our administration will continue to do, that's what we're going to do. And we're just hoping that the other side, our employees, our unionized employees, will also take the time to realize that, we have the same agenda and the same focus. How we get there, we have to get together to get there, to find out how we reach that destination. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to at least voice my opinion on this, and also to address the public so that they understand. And the mayor's there, I hear it all. And I am doing my best, as well as my administration, to make sure that we're getting our employees the best things that we possibly can. So again, thank you for giving me that opportunity.
That was Friday Harbor Mayor Ray Jackson joining us today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We will see you soon.
Hopefully.